everybody. I'm doing a 60-minute session for clients. I'm going to be sharing psychic wisdom and energy healing. If any of you are interested in exploring a session with me, please come visit me at my website at abbeynormalswisdomquest.com. So I'm going to put some links in the description. I've done other sessions with this client, and I am so excited to connect with you again today. I'm going to go ahead and read your goals and get started. Okay. My intention is to see and heal what is causing my cancer energetically. I'm pretty sure it's self-hatred in my subconscious. I also give complete permission for my higher self, my guides, your guides, Mother Gaia, any angel types, loved ones, and any love and light beings to come through for the benefit of this healing. You are doing wonderful work. Thank you, Abbey. Thank you. So to see and heal what is causing my cancer energetically. I'm pretty sure it's self-hatred in my subconscious. And permission for higher self and guides, your guides, Mother Gaia, any angel types, loved ones, and any love and light beings to come through for the benefit of this healing. Wow. There's a real intensity here about this. Like the serious side of things, you know? Okay. The thing is that I'm tapping into what is like a plethora of animated beings of love and light. Do I introduce them, or do we just work together as a team and just go straight into the healing and understanding, seeing process? Also, the subconscious and the self-hatred, it's really powerful when you could put your finger on that kind of energy style, and you're not the only person. A lot of the world is attracted to that. And where does it come from exactly? You know? I'd be curious to see anything that comes up about this, if it's appropriate. But this is going to be an incredible experience, and thank you so much, so very much for this opportunity. Thank you so much for sharing with others. Okay, I will tell you guys, I have a little bit of a cold, so you might see, I'll have to pause this sometimes to blow my nose, but we're going to get there, okay? All right, so I'm going to relax now and get tuned in. Okay. Okay, so there's a wall in front of me, and it acts like a table, and there's dust on it, and it's kind of like a pencil that's been erasing, and some things were written, we're just trying to erase that out, and now we have all this dust from the eraser, and we're just kind of brushing it off. So this table is actually like a wall here, and I'm kind of dusting off some particles off of it. It makes me think of like eraser particles. So there's some walls that you're just not gonna know how. I mean, they're inconceivable ideas at this time, because I see the experience of I'm accessing the wall, I'm ready to break the wall down, but nothing moves forward with that. I'm going to go into deeper explanation of what this means, but I need to keep looking at the wall. Sometimes only time itself will help us to see certain aspects about ourselves. Only time. And sometimes we see certain aspects about ourselves that we just simply can't change. No matter how hard we try, no matter what we do, it's almost like it's a part of us. And so when that happens, how are you going to break down any wall related to that if it's sort of now a part of your personality or your day-to-day life, your being? How are you going to break down that wall? Is it even a wall? This wall, though, is not necessarily about a self-hatred pattern. This wall is about something that you're not yet aware of. And I'm trying to put my finger on how to define that. It's not necessarily talking about like a psychic talent. It's not necessarily talking about, is it about writing maybe? I mean, there could be a something here that it's quite obvious in my face, but yet it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't speak my language. It's not making it clear for me. So you're never going to know what it is. And it's going to be hard for me to know what it is. I'm still going to look at this. It really does act like a table more than a wall. And I'm asking about writing because there's a reason why I see a pencil eraser around. Just like I'm dusting it off. I hear you calling me down a hallway, and I just turn away from that wall and I just go down this hallway. Hey, you're kind of saying something funny, like, what are you gonna do all day? Talk to yourself as you stare at the wall? Like, come on, let's go. It's like, oh, I'm looking and understanding and interpreting here. That I guess there's other things to do. So I'm running down the hall and we're like two kids and we're going to a carnival. I mean, we're going into a big open space and it's not your average carnival. I mean, there's something of massive hot air balloons. There is something of a Wizard of Oz type feel to it. Like I could probably see Glinda the Good Witch and the Lollipop Guild here, you know? There's something of that nature. And we do have massive lollipops as well. But I say no. Something tells me no on this one. I really feel strongly the answer is no on this one. And I need to go back to what I was doing. Why don't you come with me? Why don't we both just talk and then stare at the wall for a while? Let's do that and see what comes to us. And I feel there's a weighing of realities here. The reality of living life to the fullest, having fun, having exciting new experiences. And this other reality, which, as odd as it may seem, is quite wise, and as peculiar as it is, it's a development of some kind. It's a development of self, really. You know how many times I've literally sat, just laid in my bed and stared at the ceiling or looked at the wall and I talked to the wall and the ceiling. It's really therapeutic. I find it very therapeutic. Because you can express every thought and every feeling with a wall and that wall will understand you. It won't ever put you down. It will understand what you're going through. I know it sounds strange, but that wall ends up becoming your higher self. That wall ends up becoming your spirit guides. That wall ends up becoming your soulmates and your angels because of the therapy that you experience inside and the connection that you make. Is it really a wall or is it the love of all? Just because it looks like a wall to our human eyes doesn't make it an actual wall. You know how many worlds are overlaying this world? Just because it looks like this doesn't mean that's the only way that it is, you know? And sometimes we're attracted to what we see and think that looks great to me, but we miss out on the things that we aren't seeing by not even realizing that we could be doing that. Who just thinks to just do that, you know? It's kind of like this. But I do feel that in me spending time here at this wall, there is a bit of a tug, like, why aren't we going to the epicenter of the real problem here? And I say, I can't explain it, but I will say the juiciest energy is not the epicenter of the problem, it's where we aren't looking. It's something as weird as this could change everything. Okay. Now I'm continuing to look at this wall, and I choose not to see it as a table. I choose not to see it as a wall. I choose to not see it as having anything to do with writing. I choose to see it as a doorway into myself. The wall then becomes the doorway into myself. And I feel this sensation of, we're in a hurry here. I say, no, we aren't. And there's a face that appears. And it's an old man's face. And he has a beard that's made out of sticks. And his face is made out of what is carved wood. And it seems like his eyes are closed. And he is still. I feel like he's slowing down time in a way that is... Whenever they slow down time like this, it can be very disorienting energetically to feel. It's almost like pulling you straight into a sleep state. But I'm going to go for it, and I'm going to go with it. So we're going to do this together. Doorway into yourself is this wall. And then there's this man here. And he kind of, you could say there's something of the spirit of like grandfather time in his essence as well. And we're going to slow things way down. This is really good. Really good. Because I feel that we are disconnecting from ego, from mind, from any type of human interpretation that seems to make sense. And instead of going with what would make sense, we're going to go with what we never even thought of and what maybe doesn't make sense at all. I'm going into a deeper, 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 deeper place. And as I go into a deeper place, it becomes more silent and still. And in a way, I'm starting to become the emanation of this carved face of an old man with all the sticks for a beard. You know what's interesting? As I continue to slow down and match his wavelength of time, I feel like I can finally talk to him, actually receive a message from him. It's going to be hard to receive a message from him until you slow way down, almost impossibly slow. So I'm becoming small, maybe 3 years old, and this old man is in a rocking chair. It's an oversized rocking chair. I'm just noticing how really large the curved wood is on the bottom. Like, you could really rock this thing, but it's just so big. I mean, anybody could comfortably fit in this. And he sort of reaches his hands out for me to sit on his lap. And he says, it's like, shh, 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 shh. And when he says that, it's letting go. Let go, let go, let go, let go, let go, let go, let go. Shh, 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 shh. I feel happy. I feel young, like a little person young. I feel no worries or cares about what's gonna happen 10 minutes from now. I don't worry about 10 years or 20 years from now. I don't think about those things. I'm engaged in looking at this man's face, just studying every detail, like a child would. Look at every little detail and want this grandfather to read them a story. The scene is changing and I'm in the ocean. And it's much more like a painting than real life, but there's so many different shades of blue. And I'm literally in the middle of nowhere, in the ocean. And I'm looking all around as I'm just bobbing up and down on the waves. And I have no idea what I'm going to do. I have no idea what to do. I have no idea what to do. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And an inner voice comes and says, well, do you want to live? And my voice says, I don't want to be in this situation. I don't want to be in this situation. And then her voice says, well, do you want to live? And I say again, I just don't want to be in this situation. So the inner voice says, so do you want to live? And I'm basically crunch. I sound like crunching chips. And I'm just like crunch, 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 like this. And I cannot accept. I cannot relate. I cannot cope. I cannot achieve any type of sanity in this moment where I suddenly was a child on Grandpa's lap in the oversized rocking chair with the story and the shushes. And now I'm in the middle of the ocean and there's nothing here but me and anything that wants to eat me. And how long can I stay afloat before I drown? I just can't cope with this reality. It just doesn't work for me. Doesn't work. So I experience days of screaming about this, and it's not acceptable. It's unacceptable, right? It's like Adventure Time lemon grab. It is unacceptable. If you haven't watched Adventure Time, it's one of my favorite cartoons. And you gotta check out at Lemon Grab saying unacceptable, because that is what this is like. This is unacceptable. This is like a lemon peeling itself and screaming unacceptable. So this is good because there has to be this extreme venting process. I mean, this is an extreme venting process. It's to the point of almost sheer exhaustion, and we're falling asleep with our face on the top of the water. And we're not moving our arms and legs, we're just sort of bobbing here without any motion. You'd think we would be sinking, but we aren't. I'm waking up to the reality that I'm in this middle of the ocean and there's nobody else here but me. And the inner voice says, do you want to live? And I say, I hate this. I hate this. Another voice is asking the question, what is that you hate about this? And the answer is, I just hate this. And the feeling is, it's like an impossible reality that feels ridiculous, absurd, unfair on some level. Even though it's not really defined as unfair, it's more absurd, and it's an absurd scenario that it's like an impossible scenario. How could I possibly be in this scenario? And there's no need to talk about it in any other way than to keep acknowledging the absurdity of the reality. It almost seems absurd to even state, I want to live, because why am I in the middle of the ocean anyway? Of course I want to live. I always did want to live. Why am I in the middle of the ocean? I've always wanted to live. Why am I in the middle of the ocean? Why are you asking me this stupid question? So we have this going on, okay? And I want to go back to the old man, and I can't. And I know I have to work on myself, and I don't want to, because I'm not okay with this. I'm not okay with this. So I come and I tap you on the shoulder, and I hold your hand, and I remind you what it's like to stare at the wall and talk to yourself. Everything is an inconceivable reality. Everything is. The wall is an inconceivable reality. You gotta start seeing through the constructs of what we're shown here as reality. Start seeing the totality. There's so much more than what we think we see. And suddenly you calm down, and the water of the ocean starts to go down a drain, and we're standing here. It very much so is like an Alice in Wonderland moment, because it's like I think it's the second movie where she goes through the looking glass, and there's a big chessboard. It's almost like the ground is made out of black and white checkers. That there's also trees and shrubbery like a forest here too. And something in your heart says, I don't want to go back to that old man, because I won't want to leave if I go back there. And I say, then that's every reason to go back. And say, why? So that you can remember what it's like to feel something so precious that you would never want to leave it, and to embrace it for the time that it is there for you. You have a bitterness about it, and you don't want to go back, and you're sad and you're angry inside, and your eyes sting with ocean water, but it's your own tears. And there is a self-sabotage of it, just end this already. Let's just call it good. As in, I've done enough here in this life. Let's just call it good. Let's just call it good. And I say you're only saying that because you don't know how to allow yourself to feel a memory of preciousness, because it hurts you, and you start screaming again. I feel where this is coming from. I felt this before. I guarantee any human being at least one time in their life has felt this. I even felt it recently. And it was unexpected, and it was all the right words, and it was so wholesome, and it made me feel a bit guilty, or that maybe I should have done a better job, or I should have, because it touched my heart in such a way, I just started bawling my eyes out, and it made me feel all these other feelings. It was so meaningful that it just started making me feel all these other feelings. And it was hard to cry because it was aching so bad that these right words were exactly what I needed to release this bulge of energy that I wasn't allowing myself to have any interaction with, and that needed to bust like a water balloon and all that emotion come out. And it was like painful to cry. It was painful, and I felt like disappointed in myself, and I felt all these other negative emotions over something that really was innocent, really was just a hard time in my life. And I was being way too hard on myself. And the softness and the kindness and the generosity of that, it made me ache. It made me hurt because it was too much. Because it was too kind at just the right time, you know? And that's what that man represents. And that's why you need to go there. You need to feel that. I see you kind of looking around this world with the checkerboard and the trees. And you look into that other dimension with the old man and the young version of you sitting on his lap. And you look into the bewilderment of the human spirit of, like, it's kind of like a concept of the word. What would the words be that would define being set free for the rest of your life, to be completely happy and to know there's nothing else there but happiness, and that life could finally become that, you know? I tell you to slow down with me and let's go back into that scene. I see him now. He's carving, and he's carving you out of wood, but it's just your face. And it's like a really special photograph, because imagine it's not a photo, it's a perfect carving of your face in wood. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. And he cherishes every moment of this experience of carving. I mean, every little bit of wood that he's carving off is sacred. Every stroke of this small knife, every gesture of his hand, of his movements, and your face as well, sacred. Every tiny detail. If you could measure your lips or your chin or your eyes, he has measured it perfectly. And he's carved this sacred gift out of love and timelessness, so you could see how beautiful you are. That's what he's saying. And he has another side to the message, because he shows me, he turns it around, he says, do you want to wear this as a mask? It is you. It is your face. That is beautiful. And you don't need to wear your face as a mask, you just wear your face. And if you need a reminder, I've carved your beautiful face into the wood. So he's saying it like this as well. He's proud of himself. He's proud of doing this for you. And he hopes that you'll be able to receive this in your heart. Please, he hopes you will receive this in your heart. But he understands that sometimes it takes time. And that's why he's not in any rush. He's not in any hurry for you to choose to embrace your beauty. And you feel comforted now inside yourself, in your heart. You feel like you understand what you were resisting. That sentimental truth. That extraordinary gesture of love that somebody shares with you. That someone holds you sacred. And to feel as though you are a blessing. Because you are. Sometimes it takes other people to help us to acknowledge that we are a blessing. And sometimes we have a hard time doing that for ourselves, and we need others then to share that sensation. It helps us to feel truly loved. You want to go back to the ocean scene, but it's not easy to put you back into the middle of the ocean the way it was, which was basically a panic attack, because you're more in tune with yourself and you have more inner peace. I see another older man. This is another very old man who's got an Asian type of appearance, and he's drawing like a painting on the wall. He's got a paintbrush, like he's full on creating a masterpiece here. There's something about a matte finish yellow. It's kind of chalky to me. He has very tan skin, and some of his strands, he has a very long mustache, and some of it is black and some of it is white and gray. And he wears a really wide hat. It's kind of peculiar as he's trying to get close to the very fine details with this white hat. Gets in the way. He says, I don't let anything get in my way. If I want to look at the fine details with a wide hat on, that's keeping me from the wall by about 2 feet, then by golly, I'm going to just wear the white hat and focus on the fine details. I can do everything. I can do everything. He says, can you do everything? He says, I can. This is interesting, because as we get closer to an image, we can zoom in on it, And so the closer our face is to a picture, the closer we are to all the details, So if this image is pushed away, how are you going to even paint a tiny little details? It seems absurd, right? But what if you trained yourself to be able to do it? What if you trained yourself to be able to do something that seems absurd? And nobody would do that. Well, why not? Because he shows me he's also blind. And then he starts laughing. He says, you didn't see that one coming. See? I can wear a tall or like a wide-rimmed hat if I want to and still paint the fine details as a blind man. And I see everything. He's really goofy. He likes to say something and be still, but he's laughing inside and waiting for the right moment to let it all out, he's showing me the outdoors, and it's a bit rocky. There's no even ground. I mean, you're never going to be walking on a smooth path here. And it's rocky. There's really lush green plants growing everywhere, really interesting looking trees. There's water that flows in different places, not very big, like rivers of water or waterfalls for that. They're smaller, okay, and they're kind of moving through. He wants to show you something. His house is even quite artistic, almost like a real professional architectural design. Like a tiny home that's really awesome on top of a mountain somewhere in some Asian country, some remote location where you have to take a helicopter to it. And then you have to rope out of the helicopter because it won't be able to land on any kind of flat ground. We're walking through that awkwardly. I mean, you're going to twist your ankle here. That's what it's like. And so you have to be careful of every step, but even he, as a blind man, just seems to sense his way through, and he knows his direction. How does he see it? How does he know his direction? He himself is a compass. He allows his compass to guide him. Thinks it's interesting that I'm describing this architecturally neat, tiny home, and he will never get to see it. Never get to see the uneven ground as I see it, or the color of the plants. But yet he sees, he says. Can't explain it. We're kind of the ground is so awkward, and there's a strange opening here in the ground. I mean, there's no trees, there's no plants, except in the outer rim, and then some. It's almost like something landed here, like a meteor, and then just crushed everything, or just blew it out of its way, or something. But I don't see anything here. I just see that the ground is something's happened to the ground. He says you'll never see it with your eyes. So what are you looking at? So he asks me to reach my hand out and feel around. And I get this weird idea, and I say, does this have something to do with cancer? His eyebrows get raised immediately, and his head turns to the side. He says, what? I say, you heard me. I'm asking you a question. He says, what gave you that idea? I say, because it's hard to locate, hard to touch, hard to remove, hard to see, hard to understand, invisible to the naked eye, having to learn a different set of skills in order to truly interpret something deeper about it. There's two responses. In one version, he says, no, you got it all wrong. And another version, he's swirling energy with his finger like this. Swirling energy around and around and around and around. Like this. And he just kind of gets lost into some sort of song he's singing. And I see that he changes his appearance. And he looks like a man who is a monkey. But he stands upright. He has a very monkey-like face. But he has human hair, and he doesn't have any fur on his body. Except his hair is like a yellowish white. And he has a wooden staff. And he's just wearing kind of a loincloth. And he smiles. So, when we don't feed the problem with our attention and needing an interpretation, the problem doesn't have a reason to exist energetically. And what if we think we know what the problem is, but we aren't? We're looking here when it's really over there, when it's really underneath here, when it's really above, and when it was really like 100,000 years ago or 1,000,000 years in the future simultaneously. So I'm going to define this as if I were to say, for instance, that this space where it was like a meteor landed, but you couldn't see anything, only what it had done, which had damaged a portion of the forest. Trying to see it with my naked eye wasn't the right approach. But when I defined it as, is this cancer, and asked for an answer, he doesn't, he's really like that word, that word. And what that word symbolizes to any human being who hears it. And how do we take that energy and realize that all along it's like I was talking a wall, but I was really talking to my spirit guides. They say it's cancer, it's really just a warm sunshine about ready to reveal itself. How do you transform a wall into your guides? How do you transform cancer into sunshine? And this man who is a monkey, somebody comes and they place a really extraordinary kind of cloak of bird feathers around him. And they're beautiful, they're massive, like golden feathers, but they're not gold. But they kind of emanate that, and they shine in the sun. And he remembers his memory as this Asian man, and he starts to sing the same song. And they blend with this old man carving your face into the wood. And he smiles, and he joins into the song. And it's a love song, and it's about you. And it's you are loved. It is a song that is emanating the vibration and the frequency of you are loved, deeply and dearly, sincerely loved. And to let that love in, to let that truth in. Something of a really intense red color. And I see a Native American man, and he has some kind of red garment and has other colors in it too. And he's really showing a really bright yellow feather. Is what he has, a really bright yellow feather. And he places the bright yellow feather into what we cannot see. And the yellow feather turns into yellow liquid, and it starts to move in veins through this. It's like a rock. And they start to breathe in energy at the same time. Each one stands individually. And so we have an old man who has a beard made out of sticks. We have an old man who has a really wide-rimmed hat. And we have an old man who looks kind of like a monkey. And then we have a very old Native American man. And they're blowing sound and wind into the center of this invisible rock. And it's starting to break it down from the inside. And it starts to scream. It's scared. It's scared of dying in the middle of an ocean. It's scared of being all alone. It's asking for help. It's scared. And I start to notice that this energy that's shared, it's vibrating this structure, and it's starting to break apart on the inside, but it's just starting to crack. And I see a little girl's coming out of the center. She says, kind of, look at me. And then she says, do I belong here? And I see these old men start to disappear into the air. And she's just herself. And she wants to find her way home. But she has to rely on herself to find it. And it seems like a tall task. But she's going to follow her heart and find her way through herself as a compass. And it takes me back to the beginning. And you were calling for me to go enjoy this very surreal kind of carnival place. But I knew in my compass that it wasn't the right direction. I just knew. And I knew the right direction was me to continue to face this wall. It's the right direction. I just knew. Okay. I feel like everything has been said that needs to be said about this message. And I'm going to go and see what comes next, okay? It feels like it's going to be something new. So there's a really massive energy that's in the sky, and everything's covered in a white. So I see a big bulbous energy that is inhaling and exhaling, and it looks like a massive big cloud, but it's not a cloud. It's just a big white energy that's spherical. But it blends in with what is a dimensional space. And it's like a being that's here. And it's feminine. She reminds me of a flower bud without a stem. A white flower bud without a stem. And she's really self-conscious. And she's afraid of opening her flower petals. She's afraid of showing people her nudity. And she's a very voluptuous figure. But she says that she's stranger than that. Like her body would not be appropriate for any human being to look upon because she's awkwardly shaped. And she's ugly. And this is coming from a flower bud. But the flower bud parallels a woman. Very self-conscious woman. And she represents, I am ugly. And it seems she's made up her mind that she really is ugly. And seeing as she is ugly, then she definitely should not ever go out in public. Nobody should ever see her, ever. I mean, this is the direction of how confident in that idea she is. That she is almost like that could a person be so ugly that they would not even deserve to live. It's a very harsh emotion. It's really sad. And it's paralleling a human being, and it's paralleling a perfect flower bud. I gotta go into the energy that defines it as, it's like I am a violation of everyone's life. My ugliness is too vile. I could not do that to anybody. Have anyone look at me to feel whatever that feeling is of repulsiveness. I am too ugly to even exist. That's pretty hardcore. How do you go and change when there is confidence, okay? Confidence in ugliness is the defined belief. I am ugly is the definition, okay? Confident in I am ugly as the truth, okay? Now, so taken down the path of self-destruction that you must withdraw from all society and from the eyesight of all human beings, and you're so ugly you don't even deserve to live. So taking that confidence and going to what extremes with it, how do you plant a new seed into that consciousness? How do you plant a new seed into that belief to turn that inside out? Because that is suffering right there. And that's not fair to everybody who would like to take a look at you for the way that you are. It's not giving all the other souls an opportunity to value you or not value you. And we all deserve a chance to have our own opinion about things. And to be able to make that decision for all of us isn't necessarily fair to us. So I'm telling her this as I'm exploring, how will I turn this inside out? I'm picking up on something. My compass is telling me that it's not, it's something else. Something beneath the surface. Something she's avoiding, and it really much so reminds me of the bitterness and the avoidance of going to the old man to feel that nurture when you need it, the purest love of all. It's like creating a concept of such rigid, self-destructive identity, okay? But you're only doing it because it gives you every right to avoid the one emotion, the one feeling you want to have more than anything else. Love. And you don't want to, this reflection here is saying, I don't want to work on myself because it's just too hard to love myself, to allow others to love me, to believe that I am lovable. It's just too hard to work through this. It's just too hard, and I don't want to work through this. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to be around anybody. I want to be alone so that I am safe with myself. But really, what is beneath the surface of that is, hold me. Please, somebody hold me. Yeah, it's what's there. I'm seeing the white flower is now attached to a stem, and the stem is it's awkward. It's not, there's something's imbalanced because it's not able to hold its head up. It's not able to hold its head up. It's not even able to bloom. It's awkward. Like it was born to become a bloom and then die as a bloom. It never, like it's just a closed head. It wasn't meant to open up to the world in this way. And I feel this irritating, like some jerks are coming around to see this flower and think it's funny to just pick it, rip it open, and then pull the petals off and toss it. That's the next energy that's coming here. It feels very violating of a flower that never wanted to open because it felt like it was ugly. To be forced open like that and then ripped apart and thrown away. So what I do is, the pain is endured, but since it's an energy world, I pick up the flower and every single petal, and I create a gesture of love, that after all this pain, that somebody could still care, is a great gesture of love. And I put the flower back exactly as it was, and ask if it will open up or if it will remain closed. The flower's confused. It says, but look at me. I touch the stem where it is weaker and strengthen it. And the flower starts to laugh a little, and it has these leaves here. It's sort of opening up like little hands. And as it laughs, it starts to glow the sunshine on the inside, and it opens its face up, and it's sunny on the inside. It's sunshine. And she just giggles, and like there's little bits of of liquid, just little tiny little dewdrops. And so she shakes off the little dewdrops, and she feels very shy and she's blushing, but very happy too. And then I just give her a kiss on the face and tell her thank you for opening up. I feel special because I got to see that. Thank you for giving me that gift so I could feel special today. And so that you could feel special today too. There's a massive movement of energy, this whole scene with the big white in the sky, but it was really kind of like just a space of white, but it has like a heavenly sensation, but it was all white, and this bulbous energy that kind of became a large woman in the sky, okay? And the parallel to the flower, I see all of this imagery just starting to circulate around. And I see the old Asian man doing this with a really wide hat, and it's going around the hat as well. And he just goes around, and the old man says, shh, 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 shh. And that's it. That's what I meant to share with you. There's just so much genuine kindness and love and deep perspective stories that really, I can really understand those feelings on different levels, you know? And that is enrichment right there. Enrichment. Maybe what you need to see is what brings enrichment, and that you are a compass that is guiding yourself. Man, I'm so moved by that. Thank you so much. I just feel so surreal right now. Thank you so very much for that. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me, and I know it's going to mean a lot to other people too. I wish you all the best. And everybody watching, thank you for watching from beginning to end and for sharing such loving, kind comments. And I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day.